we really vacillate between the sublime and the ridiculous. And on that note, we invite Rajdeep Sardesai to the podium. Rajdeep.
Thank you very much, Chairman Sir. My colleagues in the proposition, my worthy opponents whose false smiles only conceal their sheer embarrassment at having to defend the seemingly indefensible, members of the Calcutta Debating Society and Calcutta Club here, all of whom know in their heart of hearts that the criminal justice system in this country is broken. Let's cut the crap that we've heard for the last 40 minutes and admit it. I find it bizarre, frankly undergraduate, that members of the opposition have chosen to engage in wordplay and look at those two words, often and seldom, to try and defend the indefensible, including Arghya Sengupta, who went to the same university as me, but do not judge people even if they've gone to the same university. And even more bizarrely, my former colleague Barkha Dutt says, justice is not being often demanded because there are no candlelight vigils. Madam, you confuse demand only with candlelight justice and online campaigns. You do grave disrespect to each and every Indian citizen who wants justice for himself or herself when they are on the wrong side of the law. It's a grossly elite proposition that you throw before us, only designed to confuse and detract from the real seriousness, which is quite simply the fact that justice is not delivered in this country to those who are powerless, who are poor, and who are marginalized. The essential point is that those who have influence and access to the system of which the worthy judge was once a part of are the ones who get justice in this country. And we must admit that, and admit it with candor. I am in a gathering with distinguished jurists and lawyers, so I'm a little careful of what I say. But I want to say this today. Not a tale of two cities, but a tale of two journalists must be told to you to understand how this country works. In October, or rather November 2020, a vacation bench of the Supreme Court, headed by the distinguished former Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, sat on a Saturday because Arnab Goswami, another former colleague of mine, who had been arrested, I believe wrongfully, by the Maharashtra government in a case of abetment for suicide and spent all of 6 days in jail. The court opened on a Saturday to ensure Mr. Goswami was given his constitutional freedom. Mr. Chandrachud spoke of liberty at the time. Mr. Goswami had rightly demanded justice as each and every citizen does. The court delivered by granting him bail and his freedom. Well done, I say to the court. But then turn to the case of another journalist, Siddiq Kappan, arrested a month earlier in October 2020 while he was on his way to Hathras to report on the gang rape and death of a 19-year-old Dalit girl. At the time of his arrest, he was working with the Malayalam news portal, was the secretary of the Kerala Union of Working Journalists. Arrested on 2 charges, UAPA and PMLA. He was granted bail in the UAPA case in September 2022, finally released on bail only in February 2023, more than 2 years since his original arrest. Today I ask this august house, what is the difference between Arnab Goswami and a Siddiq Kappan, both of whom and whose families knocked on the courts demanding justice? Quite simply, Mr. Goswami is a recognized face, a primetime news celebrity anchor. Mr. Kappan was an unknown journalist burdened by his anonymity and, dare I say, his name and religious identity. That, my friends, is the reality of our courts, including our judges who speak loftily about liberty and freedom. Today I ask you, my friends, what is the justice being delivered to Kashmiris arrested under the Public Safety Act, a draconian preventive detention law under which people can be arrested and kept in jail for 2 years without trial or charges? Are you telling me that family members are not demanding justice for them? The fact is the justice is not delivered for them. I ask you again, what indeed is the justice that is delivered to a Father Stan Swami, an octogenarian priest who is arrested under UAPA only because he demanded tribal rights? And what is the delivery of justice in his case when the old man is denied a straw sipper by the courts and denied a straw sipper as an 82-year-old who eventually dies in custody? And contrast him with the Subroto Roy Sahara, who's given special facilities in Tihar jail, Wi-Fi and whatever else he needs. We are a grossly unequal society and our justice mirrors the inequality. The judge who watches me out there knows the state of our legal aid system. He knows how many lawyers actually will appear pro bono for those who are denied access to justice. And that, my friends, is the reality of the topic we are confronted with today. Each and every one of us demands justice for victims. You don't need a candlelight vigil to demand justice. You need a heart and a conscience that believes in the Constitution our founding fathers and mothers gave us. And if you do, then you want equal access to justice above all else. But the fact is, there is an entry barrier. And that entry barrier is what you must focus on when you say justice is seldom delivered. The great Martin Luther King, for example, said, "Justice denied anywhere diminishes justice everywhere." I want to give you a case today, which I believe should settle this argument once and for all. It's the argument and the case, the particularly poignant case of poet and Delhi University professor G.N. Sai Baba. He was dubbed a Naxal sympathizer. He spent 8.5 years in jail, much of it in solitary confinement. In October 2022, he was acquitted by the Bombay High Court, and yet quite extraordinarily, a special sitting of the Supreme Court was called on a Saturday to reverse the acquittal and stay the High Court order. Was G.N. Sai Baba a professor who's 90% disabled? 90% disabled, such a grave risk to society that the court was unwilling to even wait till Monday to hear the matter, that there was such great urgency to send him back to jail. G.N. Sai Baba, my friends, died last year. The years in jail had taken a heavy toll on his body. Is anyone in the opposition or anyone in this audience telling me that his family did not demand justice only because they didn't take out a candlelight vigil? The truth of the matter is they demanded justice. It was not delivered. Are you telling me that the family of Umar Khalid, who for the last 4 years has been in jail in a case which has not even charges been filed, his family does not demand justice? The truth of the matter is the same judges who pronounce loftily in gatherings like this about life and liberty are selective in their wisdom when it comes to the poor and the marginalized. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the reality that must stare us in the face. Yes, and this audience knows it better than anyone else. It was great to see you out on the streets protesting spontaneously on RG Car. And yes, you did demand justice. And yet, to a large extent, you have got justice to the point where the Chief Justice of India even decided to live stream the RG Car case. But I ask you tomorrow, in a country where you have women being raped and murdered in different parts, how many of our judges will live stream cases that have less high-profile publicity? And that, my friends, is the real story of India. Just as we are a grossly unequal society, when 10% of our population accounts for 70% of the income, the truth of the matter is that 10% also has access to the law that the poor and the disadvantaged do not. Which is why the proposition is simply where your conscience must lie. And I appeal to your conscience as people of this great state of Bengal and India. Your conscience must tell you once and for all that we have a broken criminal justice system, whereas a Niti Aayog report said it will take 324 years to clear the backlog of cases in this country. 324 years. I won't be around then. I don't think any of us will be. But this nation must live on. Thank you very much.